Bugs, it is our Sunday call, so I will pull up our share screen and get it started. Share. Bring you down here. And presents. I always get so nervous. It's going to say, like, you need to pay right when I say that because I never check. But so it's going to be all about creating your brand. Look at you, Amanda. It's all fancy. Yeah, girl. So proud of you. All right, so this is our leaderboard. Cute pictures too. Amanda's making the slides all the time. All right, so Amanda's at SC2. Oh, all of us are at SC2. That is awesome. So that's really cool. So Amanda, Ashley, and Des, we're all at SC2. And then reminders, we have our coach trial coming up. So make sure that you are putting in little seedlings to people. I have 2 people set that want to try it. So like, it's never too early to invite them. Just kind of like write it down so you remember to pop them in, and we'll get that group set up so you can start popping people into there. And it's only going to be 3 days this time. So we did kind of chop it down so that people aren't losing momentum in it. And then the 25th, we are going to have our new coach call. So if anybody, even if you've been with the team for a while, you can still come and just learn some of those new things that maybe you feel like you have missed because we've never done one of these before. So, all right, on with it. Good, Amanda.
All right, so obviously this call is all about branding, and we like a lot of us, me included, when we hear that, we get very like sticky and like pause, because I feel as though the term branding, it like should go for like massive companies or like big teams and stuff like that. But when we break it down, it really isn't as scary as we think. So that's what this call is all about, is just breaking down what branding means individually to us as business owners, and how that will help grow our team and all of your individual businesses as well. So like I said, obviously the word branding carries a lot of weight and seems scary, and the gut feeling. So you want to know what kind of gut feeling people have when they come to your page. Do they feel like they're, coming to a page where it's just like black and white, like there's no gray? Is there like, do they feel at home? Do they feel like, how are they feeling? So you kind of want to see that in your page and what kind of vibes you put off. And then the overall advantages and disadvantages of being a coach with Beachbody is obviously we all sell and we all work with the same product. So building your brand, it will separate you from other coaches who are obviously all selling the exact same product. So yeah.
Speaking of branding, like when people come to your Instagram page, like make sure like when they first like pull it up, like your grid that comes up, try to make it look pretty. Like I always go through and I try to like look it out, because there are like 3 things that I feel like I try to share with people, like being a mom, being a teacher, and then like fitness and shenanigans, right? So I try to make sure that when they first look at my screen, they see those things, and that there's also a transformation picture in there too, so there's something for them to look at. So try to make sure that when you first pull up that screen, like go to your Instagram and like almost audit it, like look through it, like do things look uniform? Do things look the same? So like look at that like almost like as your storefront, that when they first come to you to say, should I follow, should I not? They kind of get a gist of what your brand is, who you are.
All right, so then obviously product versus branding. Product is obviously the shakes, pre-workout, all that, the workouts themselves, something that we buy from the manufacturer, right? But when it comes to branding, it's something that is bought from us. And a lot of people we've said this in other calls, so people will more so purchase and or join you because of who you are as a person. They've built this trust, and that is your brand. So they're buying into your brand. So there is a difference, and I feel as though we need to separate those individually, and it will definitely help your momentum in the business as well.
Especially because there's so many products out there right now, like, and it's becoming such a big thing that people are selling all these different types of products. So like, why would they want to come to us? Like people, I feel like they don't fall in love with their products unless they try them, especially because they are more expensive when you compare them like right off the bat. Like I was totally one of those people that said like I was going to drink Shaco every day. I'll just do it for the month, and then but you have to bring them into you and convince them and get them to try those. And if all you're doing is pushing the products versus having them fall in love with you, they're probably not going to buy initially until they fall in love with you.
Yeah. And the tips that we'll be giving you obviously are going to be transforming your business. But I wanted to also just touch upon too, like when we talk about branding, it's you individually. So when you build your brand, you're literally falling in love with the product and sharing why you like such product, right? So that is a part of your brand. We don't want to fall in this like the sea of sameness, like with other coaches. We follow a ton of coaches, and we see like what might be working with them. But I feel as though me, included in this, I've found myself like doing the same thing as other coaches, but that's just not me. So
yeah, and I recently have kind of stopped looking at other coaches, more so because I don't have the time right now to look at all of their stories and stuff. But like, I used to find myself sitting there looking at their stories and all of their things. And honestly, I don't have time for that right now. I just need to focus on me and what I need to push out there. But I know when I first started, like I would literally like look at Amanda's page. I'm like, okay, what did she post? Okay, I want to do it similar. But like, we all have to be different because like Amanda and I have the same friends. So if we're posting the same exact thing, like they're going to be like, really? Like, then you guys are just, I don't know what to call that, but like a scam. Like we have to show them who we are as a person because there are differences in all of us. So.
All right, so then obviously the top two questions we get from coaches in the business are, where do I find people and how do I quote unquote get people, right? We're not like getting people. It's not like a all out, like let's get them and sell them everything and then leave them out to dry. Obviously that's not our game plan. But when doing this business, these are the top two questions that we generally get asked. So obviously sharing your uniqueness and normalcy will have these people come to you as well. Okay, so what is your, I'm really sorry that thing goes over the words. That's weird. I didn't do it on my end. But we'll go with it. What is your social media vibe? So when you look at your page, what vibe are you giving off? And is this you? So obviously, in the beginning of the month, we actually got this tip from Bonnie Engel, so my mama coach, and what she has found and what I've started to do after listening to one of her calls was that she makes 3 lists each month. And the first list, and they seem very silly, but when I like actually thought about it and then went to my page and looked at my page, these lists will definitely help dramatically. And I feel as though we were already kind of doing these types of things before. But I feel like maybe writing them down and having them listed out, it would definitely help with posts, consistency and all of that fun stuff. So your first list is what makes you special and unique. And now these don't have to be like something absolutely like crazy, but they just have to be like kind of like everyday things that will pull you aside from everyday normalcy of other coaches. So, you can list anywhere from 3 to 4. But just obviously the more you list, the more you kind of have to pull out of to post. So like right now, something unique, I guess, about me would be being pregnant during a pandemic, right? Like not everyone has been pregnant during a pandemic. Yeah, there are other people out there who are currently pregnant during this whole corona craziness, but past moms and moms haven't, gone through maybe a pandemic or world crisis, whatever we're calling this, right? So downsizing my entire house to a school bus, unique. And maybe like just something kind of funny. I have more pictures of my dog on my phone than anything else. Something that's sort of relatable to other dog moms, but can be kind of like just unique to talk about. And then your second list is what have you overcome? So now these aren't like big, massive things like overcoming big, crazy goals. These are just everyday things that people can relate to. So for instance, folding my laundry the same day I washed it. That is a success. So things like that can kind of, people can relate to and bring you back to that everyday jive. And then what is normal about you? So it's kind of crazy to like list what's normal about you, because you're like, hey Amanda, like you just said I need to be unique and different, but at the same time people are looking for that common ground, right? That common trust, that they can come back to and be like, oh yeah, she was gone through this, or she's done this, or she's normal too. Like it's not just an entire highlight reel, if that makes sense. So like, okay, I restarted my laundry 3 times today, something like that, took a nap, or had pizza for dinner. So a lot of the times we're always like talking about like nutritional stuff, working out and all this great content. But a lot of the times people think that you need to be so strict and so to like the books and so black and white, that we do live in some gray in this industry, right? Like we do eat the pizza and we do eat the cake. So it's just always nice to share that too, because I feel as though that is also a very big back step for some people who want to join, but they think that they need to have some sort of like highlight reel or some sort of like perfect like area in order to even get started, which I mean obviously all of us aren't that. So just being real and sharing the real on your reel.
I went to a party yesterday and I made cookies for everybody with like little Oreos stuck inside. And I literally wanted everything at the dessert table. And I said that to somebody. I was like, I want one of each. And she's like, oh, it's okay to fall off your diet. It's okay. Like, I know you don't do that. And I was like, well, buddy, I'm like, yes, I do. Like, I have a cupcake. Like, I eat ice cream. Like, I just had ice cream on Friday. But people don't see that stuff. And I know that's something like I struggle with too. Like, people always think that I'm just eating like perfectly healthy all the time. And that is probably a turnoff for people. Like, they think that they need to be perfect and 100% and give it their all every day. So that could be a turnoff if we're not sharing those things. So think about that, because that was like a light bulb moment for me. And I was like, I really do need to share more of that, because like, that's okay too. We need to show them that it's okay. I don't want anybody to think that they can't have a cupcake or a cookie or the entire dessert table, which I did not do. I thought about it though. But we have to be real with people and show them that, because sometimes I find myself, I'm like, oh, look at all these cool things I'm doing. And I get so excited, but then it can scare people off too. So showing the normal things.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then obviously just the top tips, we pretty much nail these on the head almost every single call, and some of them just feel so exhausting when we do like talk about them, but the more we bring them up, obviously they are probably the most important things in the business. Being you, meeting people where they're at, so that's where like the hashtags come in, the stories and stuff like that, meeting them where they are at, where they are comfortable. Facebook groups, this is something that I have recently started doing too. Angie had mentioned this and I thought it was like genius, and I don't understand why we haven't kind of been doing this, but getting involved in like random Facebook groups that you can relate to and forming relationships in there. So I'm not saying you're going in these groups and then you're like, hey, join my Beachbody group, or hey, like, have you done the shake? But it's just connecting with these people in, I don't know, like, let's say like dog mom groups, and you go in there and you're just making connections in these groups that eventually will turn into an invite, right? Once you make that relationship and stuff like that. So I just thought that was like such an easier, like more fluid type of way. And I've been so fixated on Instagram that sometimes I honestly forget about Facebook. And there are so many Facebook groups that you can get involved in. You know, I'm sure that there's like car Facebook groups and boy mom Facebook groups and teacher, I'm sure there's a ton of teacher Facebook groups and stuff like that. But you also want to go into other Facebook groups that maybe aren't super saturated with Beachbody coaches. So Angie used this example. She's like crazy about Disney, anything Disney. So she like is in like this Disney food group. So just something super unique and probably isn't saturated with Beachbody coaches. And she's making genuine friendships with these people who then turn into clients or customers, clients or coaches. And also these Facebook groups, you kind of obviously want to be in these groups that are portraying your Instagram. So you're not going to go on, let's say, a Dodge Ram Facebook group if you don't own a Dodge Ram truck, right? So, or at least aren't like showing it, you know, like I can go into a Jeep group. I really haven't posted that much about my Jeep recently, but you know, it's something that I probably could, and then go into these groups and it would be relatable to them and they wouldn't be like, oh, she's just in here for some sort of scam, right? Because we are human and people do stalk you when you go into these like pages or groups, or you meet someone for the first time via internet, and then you're like, oh, Amanda Ray, let's go see what she's doing on Facebook or social media or Instagram. And obviously all of our Instagrams are not private because that's a trick of the trade in the business. So they can see everything. So if I'm not owning a Dodge Ram and I'm in this group, more than likely I'm in there to, you know, have them join and or be a part of Beachbody. And then that's a big turnoff right away for them. And then lastly, just believing in them. So being a coach, believing in them, like giving them that vibe that they can do it. Also, if you can grasp something as far as like giving them a clue into something that they've already achieved, and how like hard it was or how easy it was for them to do that task, and relating it back to the coaching business or back to a workout program, and giving them that overall belief that they can too do this as well. And then obviously overall just peeling back your onion, and like past calls, this is obviously the hardest part, is just being genuinely yourself, but being you is also the most freeing. So you will literally, your posts and when you get on your stories, it'll feel more freeing than, I'm struggling for like other words, but less stressful, I guess we can say too. When you're on there and you're talking about something that you truly believe in, you're truly doing, and you're all about. So that again is building that brand, because it's just so much easier.
Just two things to add to that, and they're two separate, but one is the Facebook groups. I thought that was genius when I heard that, because honestly, like, there's a month that sticks out. I forget exactly which month. I know it was our first coach trial month, because I hit SC12 and I literally like cried, and I was like, what did I do differently on that month? And I obsess about it. I honestly do, like, what did I do that month? And honestly, I used Facebook Messenger for almost every invite I sent on that one, because I don't know, the coach trial lit me on fire. I really loved the idea of it. I think because I took ownership of it and I was excited. There was a brand new idea. So I literally messaged everybody and their mother, like on Messenger. If they were on Messenger, they were getting an invite, and I did not care if it was cold or not. Like, I was just blowing it up. And a lot of people answered on Facebook Messenger, while Instagram, like, people just like, let us leave. I feel like Messenger like pops up, and I feel like people answer that more. I'm not sure why. So I definitely want to start doing that again, especially for the coach trial again, like go back into the Facebook groups and just kind of how we do the connections on Instagram, like kind of make that my connections on that, and maybe just kind of try and use both of them. And like the part about being you, like that, so Craig's been like up in the morning when I'm doing my little dance parties, and usually he just sees my videos, because like our Googles are connected, and he's like, seriously, like, how many dance videos do you have? But like, he sees them, but I don't want to dance in front of him. And I'm like, he's like, but you can dance on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, it's Instagram. They're different. They're like, I don't know, they're right there. And he's like, that's okay. I literally kick him out because I can't look like a fool in front of him. Although I look like a fool all the time. But I was like, you can't see my dance moves. That's only for Instagram. But like, that was showing me that I really am giving Instagram like my true self sometimes. And sometimes that's easier, because I feel like Instagram is more of like a cold market. So I'm like, oh, they don't see me in real life. And then when they do, I'm like, ugh. Like, I totally saw a teacher the other day for the first time, and I've totally been inviting her. And I was like, oh, hey, I'm that girl, you know, that messages you and you just leave hanging? Yeah, that's me. But yeah, that's all I have to share on that.
All right. And then, so if you've been in the Beachbody world and or have like been watching other videos about branding, a lot of the times they say create your customer avatar. So meaning you're creating your like dream sweat studio client or your dream coach. And oftentimes when we write this person down, they are totally different from who we are as an individual person, right? We write them down, and the person that, you know, I could be writing down might have, you know, all of the kids and, you know, is, I don't know, a lawyer or something, but that's like that's not me. And then that's where you don't really jive with that person. And it could cause a lot of friction, a lot of ghosting, and all of that non-fun stuff. So just obviously, I like to always like relate to the coaches to say like, you're kind of wanting to talk to your past self. Like, who were you when you first originally joined? And what did you actually need at that time? Or what were you thinking at that time? Or how would you talk to your best friend? So some questions and like people that like I've listed when I first joined, right? Like, wants to be a fitness coach, but not necessarily fit. So we're like, these are also ideas for posts as well. Trying to get into like that realm of talking to this girl who might be fit, might go to the gym here and there, but just isn't necessarily comfortable with the whole thing, and wants to get involved, but doesn't know that she can, right? So that's one person. Wants to travel and be free, but is in debt or owned by the military. Yeah. Wants to work hard, but on her own time, and wants to work from home, but thinks it's a scam. So at first, I thought this business was a complete scam. And I like all of the things I thought so poorly about all of this. And especially when Bonnie reached out, right? And Bonnie is like this multimillionaire in this business, and she's all the things. And you're like, how is this even real? So you want to talk and make it more real for those people who might be following you and who are like, oh, she's just trying to get another customer, or oh, so relating it to how maybe you thought it was in posts could help as well.
And when you think about your past self, you also want to think about, I know myself, there was like this past self that refused to join. There's this person that was stuck, and it didn't matter what you said to me. I was going to be cranky pants and I wasn't going to join. And then there was this person right before I joined that was struggling and freaking out and was like craving something to change my life. Like literally in like meltdown mode. I needed something to change. You want to talk to that person right there, that person that is struggling, but like wants it, because otherwise you're going to find that person that you're just going to throw everything at, and they're just going to have excuses and they're not going to be ready. And I've spent lots of time on those types of people, because I know that a lot of my posts have spoken to that person, but you got to kind of pivot a little bit and talk to that person that's ready, like that you that was ready, because you have to think about, where was your head at that point? I know that I was struggling with anxiety and I felt lost as a mom, but I wanted it to change. I wanted it to be different for my kids, not just be a cranky mom. So like I try to talk to that person. And also like she brought it up in the call, like we always say like how easy coaching is. And all of my posts probably say coaching is so easy. And my post this week is, I lied to you. that's what my post is going to be. And it's going to be, I've been saving this picture for a long time. I really like it. It says boss babe, my hair looks cute. But I was waiting for the right moment. But it's going to be like, I lied to you, because if we keep telling people it's easy, that's probably why some coaches think it is easy, that you can it just happens like that. And it's not. Like, we know we have to put effort into this. We have to, the things that we're doing, talking to people, yes, that is easy, but allotting the time for it is not easy. So I'm going to talk to that person that wants to put the effort into it, because like, I realize as soon as that my team is thinking that it is easy. So I have to talk to the right people if I want the right coaches. And I think we all have to do that. So.
And I think that's like the hardest part too, is because you don't want to scare them off necessarily. But I feel like being true from the get-go, it will just only set them up for success, as well as like the entire, like your entire team.
And the right people will come, is how I'm going to look at it.
Absolutely. 100%. All right. And then obviously showing up often, another slide that we always are talking about, but so important. So soft invites and hard invites. Angie came up with this rule. It's like the 1 to 7 rule. So she drops little nuggets of her workouts, her overall life, her groups, coaching groups and stuff throughout her posts throughout the week, right? And then on day 7, she gives a hard invite to those who have liked that last post. That was probably a very kind of like in your face call to action. So it's just another way to think about inviting if you are kind of getting lost in the sauce as far as finding people, but always trying to give information out in your posts, and just basically like kind of sprinkling it throughout your life. So that's one way. Obviously post where your people are, again, with like the hashtags, and posting what is true to you. And then consistency. I feel like consistency is like the biggest key in this entire business. And I've seen, personally, like for me, I'm always on a consistency roller coaster, and I think that is like the biggest downfall to my personal business, is just because it's just not a very consistency. So definitely, I think consistency and showing up, regardless of whether you want to or not, and regardless of whether things are good and bad, will really benefit businesses overall. And then the inviting and showing up, it takes 7 to 9 times for someone to either read something, see something, or like connect with something for it to actually get through their mind. So you'll also find people who you maybe invite a couple of times, and then like a year later, then they're like, okay, yeah, let's do this. So being consistent and being quote unquote annoying, you're not necessarily being annoying. Sometimes people just aren't in that season of doing the things that we're doing, but then, you'll invite them again, and then they're like, yeah, girl, totally ready. Let's do this. So inviting and being consistent now, will only help you in like the long run. I don't know if you have anything to add to that before I go on to the example of Dare.
Yeah. So one of the things is I try to vary up my posts, like even when I plan them out, like that, even with the pictures, like I don't want it just be all me, because like when they come on my Instagram, like I want them to see that I have kids, they're crazy, and that they are part of my life. So like I make sure that there's at least, I try to vary it with Hunter and Carter, although Carter hates pictures, but like trying to make sure that the boys are in there, there's a workout in there, there's something about my Fit Fam and something about coaching, so that they see all of those things. And like I do that every week. Like I literally sit there like, okay, I don't have a coach one in, let me make sure I put a coach one in, or I don't have a Fit Fam one in. So showing those types of things. And Amanda, you said consistency is your worst one, but that is the reason I signed up with you, because you were in Iraq working out, and I was like, if this girl can do it in a freaking bunker and show up every single day and still do it and slay her workouts, like even like you were lifting your bag the one time, and I was like, okay, I need to shut my mouth and I need to sign up with her, because so like consistency is definitely not your downfall. but you still show up even on hard days. But so I just wanted to share that.
Okay.
And then you can share our dare example.
Yeah, so the dare example, I don't know if you guys remember, but when we were younger in grammar school, dare was like the big like thing that they would come to your school and tell you everything bad about drugs and all of that fun stuff. I don't know, do they even still have dare in school? No. So I feel like this is why. So dare, actually, they did like a study on it and found out that they had more kids trying drugs and all of the bad things because it was now being presented to them, and it gave them such curiosity that they wanted to try the drugs. So I feel as though whether it be positive or negative, us being more of the positive than the dare, but it being in kind of ingrained in our like viewers' head that if we could do it, they can do it, and sprinkling all of those little nuggets of information throughout your social media will only create curiosity for them to reach out or get back to you when you invite. All right, so now this is the action part. So auditing your own social media. Obviously, if anyone needs any of us to audit your Instagram, check it out. I feel as though sometimes it's easier if you get someone else to like do this for you, because we can always kind of be biased to our own pages. So do you see your face on your Instagram? Do you see your body on your Instagram or Facebook, social media? And are these related to the messages that you're giving out on your stories or the messages that you're sending? Like, are they comparable? So if you're messaging someone about health and wellness, does your page reflect any of the above? So just check that. Do you see your personal story through the products rather than the company? So instead of hiding behind like, let's say the workout videos or like the Shakeology and stuff, what is your reason to why like you're working out or why you're drinking the shakes, instead of just splurting out the facts of the workout program or of the shakes and stuff? Obviously, it's always great to have the facts that back the product, but people are always going to relate more to your story than to black and white facts that they can just look up on Google. So is your story reflecting the product, or is the product basically reflecting you? And then does your vibe speak to the tribe that you want? So going back to the avatar or the person, like your target person, is the vibe on your Instagram or on your Facebook speaking to that person? If not, then these are things that we need to change.
I know when we did, I don't know what, we've done lots of pushes together, but one of the pushes they said to like, they were going to audit our Instagram. And that stuck out for me because somebody went on and I shared, you know, my grid. And at that time I had lots of like other quotes. Like I would literally take like morning motivation quotes or whatever, and I would post that. And then like, I would just write underneath it, but there was no face with it. And it was eye-opening to me because I love quotes. Quotes are still my thing. It's my thing since I was young. But like she was saying, like put your face with it, like just you smiling, like you, they want to see you, and then put the quote underneath. Like you have to put, so many times it's so easy to just put up a quote or a picture or the shakes, or I even had like pictures of like, I hate myself for it back then, but I literally had like a picture of like Shakeology that's on sale, come and buy it. And I was like, oh no, that's like, Ashley's gonna kill me for this, but like that's like origami owl style. Like we're not like that. We're doing it differently. They have to see us and see our stories, because there's so many people that are selling the products and all of that, and we really want them to see us and connect with us. And even like look at your social media, like just do the pictures match. Like I try, and I know Amanda does it too, try to make sure that we're using the same filter. I just recently kind of changed the filter because I found it to be brighter on certain things. So like I use a filter and then I use the Instagram filter too. And I'm like, oh, I like that. but almost every single one, I use the same filter on it so that it's close to it. And you can buy them pretty cheaply. But mine came with like 3 or 4. So even if the picture is like darker or brighter, I just use a different preset of it. But they all have like a same warm feeling is what they put it as. And then like even this week I saw like there was a bunch of orange, but it looked really pretty together. And I was like, oh, like I understand why they do that. And I think it was Angie, or I believe, that had like a color of the month, like, and I can see why she did that, because when I pulled it up and there was so many orange, because that's what I had to wear this week as a teacher, it looked really pretty and really nice when they come to your screen. So think about that. Like, do your pictures match? And like, are you using the same pose in all of it? Like when I take a picture, like I will sit there and I will go through my Instagram, and before I post it, I'm like, did I do that already? Maybe. Because I feel like I have so many like of the same poses. Like I modeled, I should know how to pose, but I don't know what I'm doing. It was all pretend. Yeah, that's it, you know. Or I know that I have a ton of pictures because like my little glow lighty thing, whatever that's called, it's a professional name, glow lighty thing. I always put it in one section of my room because that's the only section without crap behind me. But then I end up with the same picture and over, and I don't want that. Or go outside, like go and try and change it up so that there's different pictures, but at the same time they're uniform with the filter, so that it looks pretty and you're not just doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah. Relates back to our call with the storefront.
Yeah. The storefront.